Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Michael. It's good to be with you again during the summer. We're almost all the way through it. We got another month or two. We're in July here, and this is just going to be a time for us just to share some stuff with the viewers here. A little bit of catch up on what we do. Um, Not really a format here. Hopefully, everybody finds this interesting about some stuff we read, like to do. A little bit behind the scenes, I guess, for each of us. And I think we're going to lead it off though with your T-shirt.
Well, good morning, Chad, and good morning, everybody. This is our summer broadcast, actually, summer part one, because it's only July and we still have August. So, Chad and I are going to come back in August and have some more fun. But for now, a T-shirt. I'll stand up, and here we go. Michael, the man, the myth, and the legend. This was a birthday present for me for a major birthday. I am not about to tell you which number that is. You can guess. You want to send us numbers that you think, you're welcome to do that. So it's somewhere between 1 and 120, and there isn't going to be any prize for the person who wins. But nonetheless, we thought. What are you wearing, Chad?
So I'm wearing a polo, Florida Gators football polo from my undergraduate alma mater. I went to University of Florida. And that is also where I met my wife there at school. And I'm very fortunate in that my wife is actually more of a football fanatic than I am. So that's one of the many things we have to share, in addition to going to Florida undergrad, but also Florida athletics and specifically football.
And what about the part about fanatics? Do you share that too?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a rough past couple of years. The Gators haven't been too good. But hopefully, there's light at the end of the tunnel somewhere. But it's really nice to have things that to share. Like we both like that. We both like Formula One auto racing, pro football, stuff like that. She's been to an Olympics. I haven't yet. We want to go to an Olympics together at some point. But Florida Gators is something that's near and dear in the household. All of our siblings, except for one, went to Florida. It's something that's really in our family. So hopefully a better season this year, though it's not looking good.
No, I can't say that it's about our family. I don't even know who the Florida Gators are, but that's another story.
So September will be here, and then actually preseason will start next month rather. So football's almost here, but summer.
What about baseball? Come on.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up next, because I was actually I have a Reds polo, and I couldn't find it because at least last I checked, we were 2 in the division. I think we were like 1 or 2 games behind Milwaukee. Yeah. So we just lost 1-1 against the Giants. So I don't know what we are right now. But as a Reds fan, this is a fantastic season that we're like in the hunt, that we're even competitive.
You're going to make me cry because as a Yankee fan, I am really just down in the dumps.
How many rings do you guys have?
We have many, but we
got like more. 3 or 4.
Well, we always want more, and you've certainly taken us to task the last few times. So anyway, in fact, talking about baseball, might be an interesting book. And I think you and I both have the same book. This is A History of Baseball in 10 Pitches. Anybody who's interested in baseball, this is really fascinating because this Tyler Kepner, who writes for the Times, a sports writer, has actually basically talked about the 10 pitches that make baseball. And so there's the slider. Okay, so these are for people, I guess, I don't know how many of you are baseball fans are there, if you know anything about pitching, but it is truly a major art. And so there are a number of different pitches. There's the slider, the fastball, of course, the curveball. We all know what that is. The knuckleball. Anybody have idea how you throw a knuckleball? You know how to throw a knuckleball? Yeah, you grip it like this and you like that. Imagine you can do that and send that out for 60 feet. Amazing. And then the splitter, the screwball, the sinker, the changeup, the spitball. Well, that's banned, right? We don't do that anymore. And then the cutter. Amazing. Anybody that's interested, send us an email and we'll give you the title.
I've browsed through it. It's actually top of my reading list right now. But baseball is a really interesting sport in the United States. Football is probably the most popular, but baseball, like the leader of the team is called a manager. It's not the coach necessarily. And there's another book I'll have to dig up. It's basically about the business lessons from baseball. It kind of goes around having a manager and, the different strategies and stuff like that. I love to go to baseball games. I went to a Blue Jays game a while back with my wife and I with another couple. She's not a big baseball fan. She goes to talk to the other people that were there.
Foul ball?
What?
Did you catch a foul ball?
No, but we were at the Braves versus Blue Jays. This is a while back, and it tied and went extra innings. And me and my friend that were there, we were both like, free baseball. And the wives were like, we're hungry. But I love watching it in person. Here I go to Miller Stadium up in Milwaukee, and
there've been some real changes in the game. But look, if you're not interested in baseball, you probably want to turn this podcast off.
Yeah, so we'll move on.
So yes, we'll move
but it's
on. It is. So we thought we'd get serious for a little bit and maybe talk about time management. It is summer, and I guess probably it's a good time to think about managing your time so you can get out and do things outdoors, because it is awfully warm, but still worthwhile to be outdoors as much as you can. And so the other day I was thinking about this, because actually I would like to show you my to-do list.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah, actually, and that was yesterday, and that was the day before. Let's see, and that was the day before, and that was the day before that, and that was the day before that. So you can see that, in a sense, I probably have had some difficulty, you might say, managing my time. And I remembered having read about the Eisenhower matrix. And those of you who don't remember or shouldn't remember, Eisenhower was president of the United States in the 50s. He actually was also the president of Columbia University. And also, of course, he was the general in charge of all of the Allied forces in World War II. And of course, D-Day, which he planned, which was an amazing battle, probably one of the most amazing modern battles of all time. And he came up with how to prioritize this. And so I think I have a graphic, yes, which I can show on the screen. And I don't know if you can see this. It isn't very well. But basically he said, let's divide what we need to do in 4 quadrants. Urgent and important, which was one quadrant. Here we go. Urgent and important was one quadrant. Urgent but less important was another quadrant. Less urgent but important, one more quadrant. And then neither urgent nor important. And there you go. Chad's got it up on the screen. I think it looks a little better. He's showing it. So what's fascinating about this is really understanding what is urgent and what is important, and then working from there. So if I look at my list, I know in my head, I know what's urgent and important, and I know what it's not as important. But it doesn't really work unless I really prioritize and organize it. And so I thought maybe, in fact, I'll read how we describe what urgent is, and Chad, you read what is important.
Okay.
So urgent matters are those that require immediate action. These are the visible issues that pop up and demand your attention now. Often enough, urgent matters come with clear consequences for not completing these tasks. Urgent tasks are unavoidable, but spending too much time putting out fires can produce a great deal of stress and could result in burnout, which basically means the other side of this is if you procrastinate on something that's urgent, you really are ultimately stressing yourself out, because you cannot avoid, you must deliver that deliverable. You've got to do that. But understanding what is urgent and why it's urgent really helps you prioritize your time. Now, Chad, you talk about important matters.
Sure. Okay. Important matters, on the other hand, are those that contribute to long-term goals and life values. These items require planning and thoughtful action. When you focus on important matters, you manage your time, energy, and attention rather than mindlessly expending these resources. What is important is subjective and depends on your own values and personal goals. No one else can define what is important to you.
So when I think of important, I kind of think of the difference between working in your business and working on your business. The urgent is really working in your business. All the things you've got to deliver, you've got a time frame, you've got a sense of urgency, you have to deliver. That is working in your business. Working on your business is more strategic, is more plans. Sort of what's the future like? What's the next 3 months like? What's the next 6 months like? What's your plan for the entire year? Those are important things. And in basically prioritizing, you basically have to cut the time out and say, okay, these are the things I got to deliver. These are important. I've got to do them. I don't have to do them this moment in time. And that really helps in prioritizing a list like this.
Yeah. There were two things that jumped to my mind when I saw this, when you shared it with me, Michael. And the first one was Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because there's a matrix in there that is somewhat similar to this one. Now, that book came out in the 90s. This obviously was probably done in the 50s by Eisenhower, maybe in the 40s, actually probably during World War II. And I think it's actually an interesting example of an evolution of an idea or a reconfiguration of it, where, a concept's taken and maybe changed a little bit. But it was a very similar type of concept, like what's the stuff you absolutely have to do. And then the opposite quadrant was, unimportant, don't need to address it. And then the other two were like somewhere in between. So that was the first time I was like, I've seen this before. It was in a different iteration. The second thing was, how we manage time and work with people. One of the things that I run into, like when I'm working with people, like in the communication space, is people think that when they do something, they have to tell everybody. And they end up spending so much time talking to people that's not really relevant or appropriate for that message. And I think we probably see it like in business, everything else is like, instead of focusing what's really urgent, what's really important, and what's the right audience for that important activity versus, I have to tell everything to everybody all the time. And you're wasting the resources, like it was in that definition and stuff like that. And I think it's hard for a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, to kind of take that step back and do less. Because I think we're always in this gear of more, more, more. I don't know. What do you think of that, Michael?
Well, interesting topic. We probably could take its own hour on that. But one thing, what hits me is that in communication, particularly in emails, if you want to make a point, less is more. That's really that. Basically, less is more. We all know how much time we are actually devoting to the amount of emails and the amount of information that's coming at us.
Right.
This is a time that is so unique in the evolution of mankind, is that we have so much information at hand. And if you are trying to convey a message, that message really has to be as clear, as concise, as focused as possible in order for people to truly understand and then have a real action from that. Yep. And then so when you're writing your emails, my best advice to my prospects, my clients, and to myself is less is more.
Yep.
Make your point, say it as short as you can, as forceful as you can, and then leave it alone.
My favorite 6-letter word is brevity. Is keep it concise, say what you need to do to get it across, and get out. But like you said, I think also in our society, we always think the person that's the leader or the expert or whoever speaks more, talks more, and it's really a challenge for some people to know when to stop.
Yeah,
but
so let's stop.
You took my segue.
So I want everyone to know how Chad and I met, because we are really so different on some levels and so similar on others. We actually met in a networking situation on Zoom. I was a guest. I think Chad was a member of that group. And somehow, in what I said and what he said, we really said, hey, this guy's from Chicago and this guy from New York. We got a lot in common, much more than we thought. And Chad actually had a business trip to New York. We actually physically met, hung out in Bryant Park for a little bit. And we've been really friends and associates and colleagues since then. And we've been doing this podcast, and I just want to say it's a lot of fun. We talk serious. We catch up every week, what's happening, and then we've done this podcast, which is a lot of fun. And we talk about serious stuff and we talk about fun stuff. So just want everybody to know that, hey, you never know. I love that expression. You never know when you're in a networking meeting how you can actually meet someone who you wouldn't ordinarily have met, in your neighborhood or, through mutual friends. So I want to thank you, Chad, because I've really enjoyed this.
Same here. I cannot say that any better. That I feel the same way. I think it's been over a year now. I think, or being close. Probably by now. So I know that I look forward to the conversations, and when we talk offline that we don't record, as well.
Yeah, the stuff that we can't say in public, but
that's right.
So having fun. It's vacation time. So
yep.
What have you done are you doing anything for vacation?
So we went to Florida at the start of the summer. We're going to go at the end, visit family down there.
You really want to go to Florida in the summer?
Visit family. I'm good. Well, it's on the beach, thankfully. It's on the coast. So we used to live in Orlando, and I don't like being inland in Florida. It's being on the beach, it makes it more tolerable. Okay. For sure. But so we'll go down there and visit some family and friends. And then the big thing we're actually planning for is going to Hawaii in December.
Ooh, so that's not summer though. But what time of year is it? If it's December in Hawaii, what's the weather like in December there?
It's still nice, I believe. I think it's pretty constant the year round there. But we're going there for our anniversary. So but we'll probably do some other travel between here and there. We'll probably go up to Wisconsin, up to a lake at some point. Might be the fall. Love going up there in the fall. Fall's probably my favorite season, actually.
My wife and I and some friends were at a wedding in June, the beginning of June, in Traverse City in Michigan, Upper Peninsula. Mm-hmm. And that, I guess, must be about a 4 to 6 hour drive from where you are in Chicago. But actually, if you can take a few days, it's a lovely area. And interesting enough, it's wine country too. Mm-hmm. One wouldn't expect it, but actually it's a lovely area. Traverse City itself is a very cute little town, and the area is really just beautiful. So I have to fly to get there, but you could certainly have a nice easy drive to get there.
Well, I think that's the one thing is there's so much around us that when we think of traveling and going on vacation, like you were sharing with me, like you went into the Catskills, for a vacation, or some of the gardens that you visited. And here, in the Chicago area, greater Chicago area, Midwest, there's a lot of things to see and to do. You don't necessarily have to hop on a jet, though. There's actually we love traveling, but there's a lot of stuff within driving distance, to go and do too.
Well, the thing about summer is that I always think of the weekends as my mini vacations. Mm-hmm. I always want to do something on the weekend, just get out of Dodge, get out of Manhattan, and just explore the countryside. And you don't have to go too far, just to explore, and that's a lot of fun. And so I have a little bit of a vacation coming up. Next week, I'm off to Cape Cod. My daughter, my wife, and I are going to spend some time in Woods Hole, Mass, which is the elbow right here of the Cape. Provincetown up here, and Woods Hole down here, and Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket out there in the ocean. But looking forward to spend 5 days and just use one of my favorite expressions: traipse around the countryside. Take some walks, take some hikes, take some drives. I'm really looking forward to that. But why take a vacation, Chad? Why do people? Now I have to tell you something. I still know this fellow who said he hated vacations. Mm-hmm. I couldn't understand, why did he hate vacations? And he said, well, the 2 weeks before vacation, you're getting everything together so that you can take your week or two, and then you come back and it's as if you never had a vacation at all, because now you just have to catch up the 2 weeks that you've been gone.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't I don't like that logic. What do you think?
I was probably not particularly good at taking vacations when I was younger, but something that we've started doing, and kind of similar to what you were saying too with the weekends, is we consciously plan at least a 3-day weekend. We try to do it once a month or once every other month, to some degree. Just kind of going somewhere a little bit different. Maybe it's Wisconsin, maybe it's in the city to do something. But where I think the real value about it is, and something that got me thinking about it, as I was listening to an audiobook by Earl Nightingale, and he was talking about the advantage or the benefit of the subconscious mind, and how like we unplug. And I do firmly believe that I've had this benefit for myself is, I kind of unplug from it, do something else, and something else will like process in the background. And, I'll come up with a solution I wasn't actively thinking about. So from a business perspective, I see the benefit for that for me. It's just a way of doing something different. Plus, I think travel and doing stuff, going different places, meeting different people, it just broadens your horizons, in so many different ways besides staying in one place. But also, there's a human aspect. We're both married, somebody more than the other one, but but as business people, entrepreneurs, you can't just focus on the work part, all the time. You have to, you have to keep in mind like your whole self, and make time and invest in time, because I know we've had some instances in our life where, you begin not to take stuff for granted, and to really appreciate each other, and to enjoy things.
Yeah,
So
vacations are to be treasured. And yes, I'm thinking of all the vacations we've had. We've traveled around the world. We've traveled up and close by too, the Catskills, the Berkshires, the Shawangunk. I mean, these are mountain regions, the Green Mountains, the White Mountains, not too far from New York. Yeah, I think vacations are to be treasured, and they are to be taken, and they are critical. The biggest issue as a business owner and an entrepreneur, which I've been, was thinking that you were so irreplaceable that the week or 2 weeks away that your business would just basically implode, and you'd come back and it wasn't there.
mhm.
And I think you really, you got to get past that. It's just a sort of like a head trip, and or what we call head trash. The business will stay there if you've built your team, if you've done the processes, the procedures, you've got it together. Your business isn't going to get destroyed in a week. And take that vacation, and then separate yourself. And that, I know how hard it is. That first or 2 days, you're still thinking of the business, and you're checking the emails, and and you're sending missives back to people. Don't forget to do this, do this, do this. And then somehow the light bulb goes off or goes on, either way, and you stop and you breathe and you say, you know what? Let me be here now. Let me be here where I am, and then recharge. And you said that in the conversation earlier, that recharging is critical. Seeing the world from a different perspective, don't seeing it from ensconced in your business, but seeing it sort of like just the world around you.
All right.
Makes a big difference. So
Let
speaking
me
of,
ask you this.
go ahead.
Got a question. Do you find, this is what I find, the further away I travel, the quicker I disconnect? So like when I go to Europe, like if I go in stateside, I definitely had that 2-3 days where I'm like, it's like, what's going on? And I, detoxing, versus if I'm going somewhere that's a longer travel, I don't know if it's jet lag, maybe perhaps, or something. But like when I went to London earlier this year, I didn't have that 2 or 3 day detox thing like I usually have.
Well, the reality is that you have less ability to communicate. Remember, if you're in London, it's a 5 or 6 hour time difference. So
Right.
that makes a difference. Also, if you're traveling to other parts of Europe or Asia, so on and so forth, Africa, your ability to communicate is less. There may be not as good Wi-Fi or
Mhm.
service, etc. But yeah, I think it does. just makes the challenge. If you're doing something domestic, it makes it an even greater challenge to disconnect. So talking about disconnecting and talking about the cheapest way to travel. You know what the cheapest way to travel is? Read a novel.
Yes.
Read an autobiography. Read a biography. Read. If you want to read a business book, read a business book, but read. Cheapest way to travel. I know for myself, when I travel, either I've got the iPad or the Kindle or my phone or actual book. I try to limit that, or the magazines, to just take something to read, a novel, just to transport yourself.
Yep.
Just transport yourself, and I do that without having to travel. So I just read recently. Let's see. I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is a very interesting book, sort of a love story in a sense about creative partners who basically do video game design. And it's on the bestseller list. It's an interesting book. It's a lot of pages, about 400 pages, but it's a nice way to travel. And I recently read this book, just finished this, called In the Distance by Hernan Diaz. This is a fascinating story about an immigrant who came to America in the 1890s, 1870s, and did not have an easy time basically finding himself in the United States. Fascinating book, and took me all over the country and even into Alaska and traveled. So just, again, books are meant to basically transport yourself. For me. What about you?
Yeah.
What are you reading these days?
Let's see what I'm actually looking up this author, so I do not butcher his name, because I will. But I kind of split. I do a decent amount of, I guess, nonfiction reading. Like the book I was talking about here, Papyrus. It's actually the history of ancient books, the invention of books in the ancient world. So kind of a geek in that respect. I love to read like history and stuff like that. This book might look familiar, Daily Rituals.
Yep.
It's an interesting little primer about how creative people in the past have, what do they do every day to try and get into their mindset. I'm still thumbing through this one, The New Art of Selling, that we got from the 1950s. We both have this book. But from a fiction perspective, I like sci-fi. I read a lot of science fiction or alternative history. I enjoy that. But there's also a Japanese author I got hooked into, and he's kind of like, are you familiar with Catcher in the Rye?
Yeah, sure, of course.
So his style to me is very similar to J.D. Salinger. His name is Haruki Murakami, and his writing style, it's usually you have to read it more than once to get it. There's little nuances inside it, and there was a short story of his that just have always stuck with me called Cream, and it's about this young 20-year-old something guy set in Japan, and he's kind of adrift, lost in his life, and just some of the topics that come up, and there's still things that you still think about, like they don't make sense. Like, imagine a circle with infinite center points but no boundary. Especially as an engineer, I'm like, hang on a second, that doesn't make sense. But there's a story to it, so it's worth reading his stuff.
Right
there, I do.
I'd like to do that. I'd like to read that.
Yeah, it makes you like, hang on a second, infinite center points but no boundaries.
Yeah,
I'll send you the link. I'm really interested
that would be great.
to get your feedback.
Listen, everybody, we've gone about 29 minutes, and we're just having some fun, just kind of I guess talking as if we were talking on the phone or talking in a Zoom call, just Chad and I. So I'm not sure how interesting you'll find this, but if you do, we're certainly happy that you'll come along with us on this journey. We have in August, we'll do something, probably we'll call it Summertime Part 2. We'll probably talk more about some of the books and maybe tell you about my time in Cape Cod and, some of the weekends that Chad will be doing the rest of the summer. But we really appreciate you being with us on this, and thanks for listening. And if you really want to reach back to us, I'm M. Gansel at Voice of Reason Consulting, or mgansel@gmail.com. Chad?
Yep, Chad at Eves.group, rather. And also you can send an email at hello at the Meaningful Communication Show, which is actually what this show's title is. And if you're interested in the majority of our program, we do interviews. And I'll include a link with the show notes here that you could go and see the interviews that we've done with other business people and some of the other topics that we've addressed. That's typically what our content is in the summer. We're taking a little bit of a vacation here on some fun topics, but you can check out the previous videos. We're going to have some more interviews and topics coming up, so we hope you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, or also keep an eye and follow us on LinkedIn. We put all these on LinkedIn as well. And again, reach out to us. We're always excited to get feedback, to hear what people think, suggestions, whatever you might think. And that will do it for July. Again, Michael, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chad.
And
really
we'll see how the Reds play out the rest of the next month, at least. And
well, I guess I'll have to do the same for the Yankees, but we'll see.
Yeah, but now everybody stay healthy, be prosperous, and take care of yourselves. And we will talk again in August.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.